We are recording. Let me make Porter, I'm going to make you co-host if you want to monitor the waiting room. I'll do the same to Bart, well as Lee. You got the share ability. There's Greg. Okay. Let me make Greg the co-host too. Should be good. Greg, you should be co-host, so when you get to your presentation, you'll be able to share your screen.
Fantastic. Hi, everybody.
Hello. All right. Give a couple minutes just for everybody to come in. Just as a reminder, we are recording the webinar, and I will make them available on the National Training Fund YouTube page so that you guys can view those afterwards. They will be chaptered so you can get to the content that you need if you want to revisit stuff. So I'll make sure to get those out to everybody. I'll send a follow-up email as I usually do when we're done here. And like I said, let's just give a couple more minutes for folks to get in, and then we'll get started. You're doing pretty good. Okay. All right. Okay, we're gonna get started. I think I was just talking to Lee. I feel like this is like the first one you've done this year, man. This year has just been crazy for out of town travel and regional training center stuff. So it's good to see you guys all here, and I'm glad you made it. And sorry it's been so long. We typically try to do, 3 to 4 of these at least a year. So we're a little late getting started, but we have been busy. So um, today we're gonna Lee Worley will give us kind of an update, what's been going on, what's coming up, things to think about. We've got Greg here with Microsoft, and he's going to talk about artificial intelligence, AI. I know we've all been hearing about it and discussing it, and we're doing some really cool stuff with Microsoft across the country. So Greg's going to give us some updates and some information around that. Uh, we've got Jason Corder who's going to give us a report. We've got Bart here. Mike Sampson and Brian Tannehill were not able to attend. They are on the road this week, but I'll just give a little brief on kind of what they got going on. So, with that, welcome everybody, and I'll turn it over to Lee Worley.
Hey, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks, James. Uh, First of all, the annual training program this July, man, we've got some great attendance. I think this is the highest attendance we've had in May um, since I've been here. So attendance is great. That's a good sign around the country. Um, I had a discussion with General President Dean. This was a couple of months ago. We have the dorms that we provide for the instructors that are the National Fund pays for, so there's no direct cost to the participants that are, staying in the dorms. But we're seeing more and more people stay at the Marriott Hotel. And that's sort of a slight irritation to Eric. I know the dorms probably aren't the ideal place to stay. They could be a little bit inconvenient, but for the cost savings, he's really wishing those of you that do stay at the Marriott, you can do what you want. This isn't an order. He just wishes that, hey, we're providing the dorms for you. You should take advantage of it. So I told him I would pass that on. Not only the iron workers, but we have the electricians and the UA that also do their summer training in Washtenaw. And the iron workers are the only group that pays for the housing and food for the participants. The other trades, they're on their own. They got to get their own hotel room. They got to pay for their own food. And that was funny because the UA, they got 3,000 instructors at the same college that we're at, Washtenaw Community College. I said, how do you feed them? They bring in every food truck they can find throughout the county and city, and they provide food trucks just around the whole campus, and you can eat whatever you want. You got to pay for it yourself. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. I just thought I'd pass that on to you. we've got the food there provided at the cafeteria. We do what we can, and it's sufficient, and I hope everybody enjoys it. If you remember last year, um, the county did an economic study, and I asked you guys throughout the week if somebody approached you to answer a few questions to take the time. And I want to thank everybody did. We had out of the 800 participants, we probably got close to 800, responses from us to them. And they did the same thing to electricians and to the UA. And between the three crafts, we directly spend $20 million in their area per year. I had to read that twice because I didn't believe it, but man, we really pump a lot of money into that community. And I know there's very, very few people on this call that remember the days when we were at the University of San Diego, Stanton College, but I've been there for years. And I tell you, San Diego could care less whether we were there or not. Destination Ann Arbor, as well as Washington Community College, they welcome us with open arms. They love us there. And one of the reasons is that we come there, we choose to teach there, and we choose to spend our money there. And they're very, very thankful. Um, Jason and I, or Jason wasn't there, couldn't make it this year. James and I went to a pre-conference meeting last month. The president of the university takes the time to meet us, have dinner with us that night. We go over the whole conference, and it's a big deal. In any event, $20 million between the three, that's crazy. They love it, and we're happy to be there. So, um, finally got the apprenticeship competition for 2026 in ink. Local 5, Washington, D.C., which is basically somewhere in Maryland, about 20 minutes outside. Upper Marlboro, I believe, is a city. Local 5 will be hosting the competition late September, maybe the first couple of days in October 2026. More information will be, down the road, late this fall or early next spring on the competition. We got a hotel inked downtown DC. It's a great place. So start preparing that and put that on your calendar. And I can get the exact dates and I can have James post them later, but it's basically the last week, first couple of days in October. Okay. And then next year, which is going to be late August 2026, is the convention. Every 5 years, we have international convention. And the apprenticeship and training department for years has always handled the history display at the convention. And you'll notice if anybody here has been a delegate, you've been to the convention, the history display has a whole bunch of items and artifacts. And a lot of them are hats and T-shirts. If you have anything historical, whether it's an old member's book or anything that you want to send on display, please send it to headquarters. Get a hold of me or James or Jason, and we can plan that for the 2026 convention, which will be held in Chicago the last week of August 2026. And then finally, I would say about a month ago, I had Bobby Bass reach out to me regarding, correct me if I'm wrong, James, his federal rep for the apprenticeship was no longer, his job was eliminated, and they're going to district people or district reps. And so I asked James we reached out to our contact here in DC. And James, why don't you go ahead and talk about if anybody's having trouble with their state or federal rep, how to reach out to the new program they've got administered around the country. So go ahead, James.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. So yeah, we got a few people kind of, Bobby was one of the first ones that are, all of a sudden kind of having trouble getting a hold of their Department of Labor representative for their apprenticeship program. So to get, standards updated and stuff like that. So we reached out to the guy that we kind of our contact at the federal level. His name's Ricky Godbolt, and we talked to him about the issues. And he gave us an updated website that basically you guys can go to. And if you're having trouble getting a hold of your apprenticeship individual or representative, this website should get you in contact with them. And it basically lists all of the different states and who the current individual is assigned over that state. And then you can also, if you can't get a hold of your individual state person, then you can just click the regional tab and it'll let you get a hold of your regional representative. So you might have to run up the chain a little bit, but We are seeing some pretty significant cuts in staffing by this administration, specifically in the Department of Labor and the Department of Apprenticeship. So you may run into some, longer wait times. I know some of you guys already wait a ton of time to get your apprenticeship standards updated and stuff like that. But if you're running into some issues, I just put the link in the chat. Start there, and if you can't get any assistance from there, and you're still running into roadblocks, just reach out to me directly, and I'll get with Ricky Godbolt and see if we can't get some updated information for you guys. So back to you, Lee.
Great. Regarding classes in the training program, we added an extra PDC 1 and 2 because we had to turn away a lot of people last summer. So we added an extra instructor. So all the PDC courses, instead of having 4 in a day, 2 hours apiece, now we have 5. That turned out great. The AI class that we're introducing this year filled up right away, so it's good to see that. The leadership course taught by Mandolin, another half a day. That one's full. Great participation this year. Registration closes early June. You heard me earlier say that we've got great registration numbers right now, but I'll send out a reminder here in the next day or two regarding final registration. And then, don't blink because we're going to be in Ann Arbor in just a couple of months. And then, James, that's all I have right now. I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Lee. Any questions for Lee? Okay. Seeing none, we're going to move through the agenda here. I'm gonna turn this over to Greg. Let's see. Let me make sure I got you co-host stuff. You should be co-host. I want to make sure because I think they got some presentations here. Yep. There we go. So I'm going to turn it over to Greg and let him introduce his team and have a little discussion around AI, and then we'll open it up for questions. Greg, go ahead.
Just coming off mute to say thank you. It's a pleasure to join you today. I wanted to make sure everyone can see the screen that I'm sharing and can view the presentation. Is that all right? Go
Yeah,
ahead and try to load that right now.
we can
Is that
see.
showing up for you all?
We are seeing the instructor screen, the instructor view, where it shows the next slide. So
Got it.
should be the other screen.
Let's switch it over. I'll try another way. See if we can get it this way. Thanks for your patience. I got another shot here.
No worries.
Maybe we'll do, let's try this one more time. Move this over here. All right, see if this works better. So how about now? Is it showing up for y'all?
Yeah, we're seeing there you go. Perfect. You're dialed.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for your patience. Well, thanks for having us today. Really appreciate the opportunity to connect on this call and provide an update on some of the partnership work we've done with ironworkers. We're super excited about that work and wanted to make sure that everyone has some visibility to it and also the opportunity to kind of participate in what we've been building. So I'm going to go ahead and move into the next slide just to say I'm here today with the team. My name is Greg Bianchi. I work at Microsoft in our philanthropy. So we're focused on social impact work and partnership around skilling in particular. So we partner with nonprofit organizations, with labor unions, with education institutions. And on the call, you'll also hear from Nugma, who works on our US partnerships and does a lot of work on the labor union piece, as well as Seth Resnick from our Tech for Social Impact team. So I'm just going to dive in and give a little bit of context to say, why do we do the work we do? We're really committed to ensuring that, learners, workers, really everyone has the opportunity, regardless of career stage, role, sector, to learn new skills and specifically around technology. Of course, Microsoft does a lot of creation of AI technology, but we want to do that in partnership with, workers. And that's actually a key principle of our partnership with the AFL-CIO. So I think the important context I wanted to share with the group here before we dive in and talk about AI is this really sits within a special partnership that Microsoft has with the AFL-CIO, and that's centered on these principles of Microsoft and labor unions working together to support this AI transformation, ensure that workers have a voice in that, that there's opportunities for skilling for workers, and then we can agree on some opportunities around policy and research as well. So you see in the photo, this is from a gathering at Microsoft headquarters in September, where we had the president of the AFL-CIO, Liz Schuler, you see in the front with our president and the light blue shirt, and several other labor union presidents. And this has led to, I think, many other collaborations with individual unions. And I just want to give a shout out to Jason Corder, who's on the call. I met Jason at an American Association of Community Colleges event. And AC is also a partner. We got to talking about this and made the connections, and away we went with uncovering the opportunities to partner on skilling. A couple of things we're doing before I hand it over to Nagma to give a little bit of an AI tour here is just want to call out that thank you to Lee and to James for the partnership and the opportunity to work with you all on the Summer Institute that they were referencing in Ann Arbor. We're excited that we've connected with a trainer you all have, Shante, to develop an AI course. We're also really proud of the work with the Local 86 that allowed us to kind of like demonstrate and go in and do a little bit of piloting of some of these AI solutions. And just to give people a sense of the kind of things we're talking about, we're saying, how can we use AI to help instructors and coordinators, in their work, whether that be, AI for meeting recaps, AI for grant funding, AI to track journeyman towards apprentice, apprentice toward journeyman, or in the classroom, AI instructionally, translation, even like field work. So we've enjoyed it very much, and we're excited to continue the opportunity to really incorporate AI skilling into the work at the training centers. And we've had a lot of exciting outcomes to date, but I think there's a lot more of that to come. So I appreciate Lee's plug around the Summer Institute. That's a training that we're excited to support. And I would just say, if on this call you find any inspiration, let us know, and we're happy to, circle back and do any trainings with y'all, as you see fit, or we'd be happy to take your recommendations. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Nagma, who's going to take us a little bit through the background of, if you're thinking, okay, great, tell us a little bit more about AI and how we should think about this for our training centers. Nagma's going to provide a little clarity on that. So I'm clicking through to Nagma. All right, here we go.
Thanks so much, Greg. Really appreciate it. And I just want to say how impressed I am by your whole organization. It's been great to work with folks like John on how do we use AI for grant writing for iron workers. And there's just so many use cases that we've developed with you all. It's truly been a great partnership. And I think each one of you on this call has, as Greg said, the potential to bring some of those ideas. So we want this to be interactive. We want you to, if y'all are chat people, like put it in the chat. If you want to just come off mute and jump in, please do. We want to hear your voice and your concerns and ideas as we go along. So I wanted to start off with just a little bit on this idea that AI is not a new thing, right? We've been seeing AI over time in so many different ways. So Greg, you can just click through because I know there's a ton of opportunities that we have to identify this, but it's when you go onto a website and it suggests an interesting item for you to investigate, like maybe this is a shopping item you should purchase. It's when your text message predicts the next word for you, or when you can just talk to your phone and tell it what you want it to write. All those are examples of AI in the world. But on the next slide, what's new and what's different is this whole generative AI piece, right? This idea that AI can actually create something new for us. It can make new texts, it can make new images, it can also edit and like help us change the tone of something or change the perspective of something. So one of my favorite ways to use AI is to just help me make it a little bit more formal. If I'm, just spouting out ideas when I type, it can actually go in and clean it up for me. It can help us find things that we're looking for. Sometimes our search engines can be a little frustrating, but an AI can go in and more effectively understand what we want and help us find that item in our email inbox or in our file system. In addition to creating, editing, discovering, the next one is really about understanding. This is a really interesting one we've discussed with several building trade unions, right? You all get these massive documents that when you're in the field, you may not have to deal with, but all of a sudden you're here in this role and you've got to think through policy, you've got to think through safety, OSHA regulations. AI can actually help us summarize and kind of understand these documents in different ways, as well as translate things for folks into different languages. And then finally, it can help us catch up. We love using our Microsoft Copilot tool to help us take notes because everything stays in-house. But Seth will talk about that in a minute. I just want to pause here, and if you could put in the chat one thing on this list, or maybe something I didn't cover, what sticks out to you? What's something you'd like to learn more about? I used to be a classroom teacher, so I'm really good at like just wait time and the awkward pause. So I'll just give everyone a second to type out which one looks interesting, or again, feel free to come off mute. Oh, thanks, James. Yep, document analysis and summary is cool. I agree.
Could be
Anyone
something not
else?
on this list too. Maybe folks are
Yeah,
thinking about a different application that we didn't list here.
agreed. Yep. Adjusting the tone. We've got several language translation. I mean, keep putting them in the chat. This is also just great feedback for us to understand where you all are at with your AI journey. Um, and then the next slide actually gets us into this idea that AI can do all the things that I put on the last slide. And yes, James translation is a big one, text generation for quizzes. One of the most powerful things is that it can give us a starting point, right? When we're looking at that blank page in a Word document, we don't know where to begin. It can actually just help us get started. So you'll see the little Copilot rainbow square icon in the middle top of the image here. That's actually our Microsoft AI Copilot symbol. Thanks, Greg, for pointing it out. And you can give it a starting point. If you don't know what to type, it's like, okay, well, just type what's in your head, and it can give you something that's formatted as an email or formatted as a report. And then you can go in and edit and go back and forth with that AI to make it into something that's really valuable for you. So that blank page syndrome can be scary, but AI will help us get a good way of the way towards our final goal. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Seth because he's going to get into some more specifics for you all. I hope this is helpful, and thank you again for the opportunity.
Thanks, Nugma, and thank you to everybody for having us today. This is very exciting. I've worked with unions and in a lot of different capacities for about 20 years on digital and all kinds of stuff like that. So it's great to be here. Nugma just I think gave a great outline about what is possible with generative AI. I think we're just going to spend a little bit of time here talking about tools that you all will have access to and ways and to kind of look at that and think about how you might be able to use them in sort of your day-to-day tasks. So if you want to go to the next slide. Yeah, great. And as we're doing this, and I'm just going to pause for a second here, if folks want to see what we are looking at and see the screens that we're going to be discussing, they can go to m365copilot.com. Everybody should have this access, or they can, if you click on the Windows key on your keyboard, thank you, Nugma, with the pasting in the chat. So the links are in the chat now. Or if you click on your Windows key and search for the Copilot app, you should be able to find this also. Or if you have a brand new computer, there is the Copilot key, which will be on the right side of your spacebar. So a lot of different options here. So I'm just going to give it a minute, and hopefully everybody will get the chance to open this up. And if you're having problems, just feel free to stick it in the chat. Okay. Okay. Well, hopefully everybody is now looking at this screen here. There are a lot of things on this screen, and I think that people maybe they've opened this once or twice, but they haven't yet really taken the time to dive deep into this. I actually saw a data point today that ChatGPT is now a more frequently visited website than Wikipedia, daily visitors. So we know that this is something that is really climbing in use. Generative AI is something that people are super interested in and something that people are doing. So we want to kind of give you the roadmap to using it on the Microsoft side. If you want to just click one ahead, Greg. Great. Oh, we want to go back. Sorry. Yeah, just really important point here in terms of why use Copilot, which is on your computer and you have access to, as opposed to maybe some third-party tools that are free. That green shield that you see there, that means that we are protecting and securing all of the data that you're sharing. So that data is not shared with us. And you may have heard, I'm sure people have heard different things about LLMs and large language models and how they work and how AI works. Any data or documents or whatever that you share with Copilot are not shared back to Microsoft. So that stays secure within your environment, and anything that you write in there is not available to be seen by anybody else. So all that stuff is super important, and that may not always be true with other tools that you might just use for free on the web. So just something to keep in mind, and I think a really important point in favor of using the kind of the software that's a part of your Microsoft 365 license. Okay, great. Yeah, this is what I just was saying. So everything that you're doing is not shared, and it's all it's available at the time that you're giving it to Copilot to look at. But once that's done, it doesn't have it anymore. Whatever you do, though, and this is important, whenever you're using AI, you have to remember that you're the person at the end of the line. So whatever the output is from Copilot, you make sure that you're checking it, you're reading it through, you're clicking on the links and all that to make sure that everything is accurate and everything that you're putting out there is, both indicative of what you're trying to say, but also like accurate and real. So important. It's a Copilot, as it says there. It's not the pilot, it's the Copilot. And then the last thing, and we'll get into how to do this in a second, check the sources that it's giving you. It's anytime Copilot is going to give you an external source that it's using for an answer, it's going to give you a link to that. So, make sure click the link and make sure that it's saying what it's supposed to be saying, because that's really important, of course. Okay, and now we're just going to do a quick breakdown of this screen here, because again, hopefully everybody is having the chance to look at this. So a few kind of highlighted things that we just wanted to point out. Number one, suggested prompts. I love this. I think it's kind of intimidating. Nugma talked about how AI can be useful when it comes to like getting over that fear of the blank page of like helping you write something. But it's also true of AI. Like you come to this screen and you're not sure what to do. Everybody says, I can do all this and that. And Nugma showed like a million ways you could use it, but it can you can get lost in the sauce a little bit onto where to start. So these suggested prompts are a great thing because they're going to show you ways that Copilot can help you, things that it's capable of. And I think it's a great way to kind of get started, because often what happens is you start on one thing and then immediately it takes you to the next thing and the next thing after that. So the message window there beneath, that is how you're going to interact with Copilot by writing prompts. And we'll show a prompt here in a second. But that's how you're going to interact with the system. You're going to write a prompt and it's going to give you a response. And you kind of go from there in that conversational way, back and forth until you get the result that you're looking for. Really important, like I just said, these interactions are similar to chat. So when you're talking or messaging with Copilot anyway on a particular subject, like summarizing complex content. Somebody today sent me a 200-page PDF with a bunch of results of a survey that we commissioned. And that's too long for me to read, to be honest with you. So I had it do that summarization. Then I was done with that. And I said, new chat. And I went on to another topic. So as you're changing topics, you're launching new chats so that it sort of keeps the record, but it doesn't, you're not, because what it's doing, sorry, just to kind of refresh on that, when you're in an individual chat, things that you say, it's sort of keeping the record so it can know how to answer future questions. But if you want to do a new topic, then you sort of want to refresh the conversation. So that's why you would do a new chat. But that panel there will allow you to find your previous chat. So if it gave you some really good synopsis that you just weren't able to really look at the time, but you wanted to review later, you can do that by finding the old chat. And then insert document. This is super important for a lot of the things that were mentioned in the chat for this. So summarizing complex content, of course, like if there's a PDF that you wanted to put in there, that's how you would do it. Or if you wanted to translate something into Spanish or French or whatever, that's where you would add the document. But you could also just add in your message window, you could add like a URL or something like that. It doesn't just have to be a file. It could be something on your website. So what we are doing to kind of take a look at here today quickly is the idea of what is a prompt. So a prompt is, again, that way that you're interacting with the AI. So we're going to say, give it an example prompt, write an email about the importance of safety measures in construction work. This is a super basic prompt, but it's doing a few things here. We're giving the AI Copilot the context. Hey, this is going to be an email. So put it in the format of an email. And we're giving it, the topic that we safety measure in construction work. So this is the basic one. And then, excuse me, we go to the next slide. This is an example of what we're going to get back. And a couple of important things here. One, it's obviously putting this in the format of an email, which is super helpful. One of the things I really love about AI and Copilot in particular is that it can sort of change the medium of content. So you have a PDF that has a bunch of stuff in there. You can say, hey, help me turn the key points of this PDF into an email or into a post for LinkedIn or into a post for, Twitter or whatever. And it's going to know, what does an email look like, or what does a LinkedIn post look like, or what does a tweet look like, so on, and be able to make those changes for you. The other thing I like about this screen in particular is you see those things at the bottom there. Those are like suggested follow-up prompts. So add a statistic. That's a great thing. Make it more formal, include a call to action. So if I clicked on those, what it's going to do is essentially give the next prompt, and Copilot will reformat what it wrote based on the feedback that we're giving it. So those suggested prompts are super helpful because maybe I'm not thinking of maybe I don't like this, but I can't exactly put my finger on why. So the suggested prompts are a great way to kind of get you to the next step and get you, get you the best possible result. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, I think, Greg, I'll kick it back over to you.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure that we're respecting time, James, to do a check-in because I think you gave us, 50 minutes or so. And our intention here was to kind of, give an update on the form of our partnership, the opportunities for, skilling for members of the ironworkers, including, instructors and coordinators. And then to also just showcase the technology a little bit. So, happy to do any follow-ups on this. We gave one example here looking at like an email, but as I said at the outset, when we sit down and we've crafted the summer training and even the work at Local 86, we've come up with countless scenarios, that are, I think, important that we can build the training around to make these examples really clear for the participants, and happy to, share all of that with you in the way that makes the most sense. But we just appreciate the opportunity and the partnership with the ironworkers in this. So James, anything further we can add or clarify? Right, and we're so happy to take questions or feedback on this too.
Yeah. Does anybody have? I wanted to talk a little bit about it, maybe just for a couple seconds. But you may or may not know, but we actually Greg mentioned the class that we created in Ann Arbor. So Shantae, we've got a brand new class at Ann Arbor that's going to be kind of a deep dive, into the potential of how we can use AI, for our programs. But if you are interested in this training, we're actually piloting some classes at Local 86 right now in Seattle. We've actually done one of them where they will actually come in and kind of consult with you, talk about ways that, you as a coordinator or your instructors or your administrative staff, can utilize this technology actually in your programs to help in all kinds of different ways. I mean, it's almost endless, some of the conversations we've gotten into. So If anybody has any questions for Greg or his team, or if you're just interested in reaching out and kind of deep diving this a little bit further, feel free to chime in now, or I can connect everybody after. But Greg, thanks for you guys
Yeah.
for coming in, and really good stuff. I think it's a
No,
lot of.
you're welcome. And I would just point out, James, thank you. And I put in chat just so folks can get a further sense of the opportunities. Some of the things that we've talked about at Local 86 and the ways we're thinking about applying AI, that list is not exhaustive. All ideas are welcome, but it might give folks a sense or a flavor for like, well, how are we really think about using this other than the email example we shared today. So I think there's a lot there. And I would echo what James said around, please reach out. Like if you're interested to learn more, connect with us, we're happy to continue the conversation. I just really appreciate the opportunity to join you today.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I'll include your guys' contact info in the follow-up email, so everybody will have the ability to get a hold of you.
We appreciate that.
All right. Thank you guys.
Okay. Thank you all.
Okay. Yeah, and that was just real general. I just wanted to have them come on and just kind of talk about, what they're doing with the iron workers, and they're invested in working with us. And I urge all of you guys to, reach out and see what you can do, or at least think about what you can do with AI in your programs. I mean, it's so endless when you think about it. So I'm sure some of you are using it already. But if nothing else, get in that AI class in Michigan. Make sure you take that class. I think it's going to be really good, and it's going to do a lot of good stuff for you. I'll just cover a couple things before turning it over to Jason and Bart. The grant funding stuff, we've seen a kind of a pretty good squeeze at the federal level as far as upcoming and new and large federal grants that are going to be kind of trickling down into the states, and we see a lot of emphasis or talk around funding to create apprenticeships and pre-apprenticeships, but the discussion around supporting and expanding, what we would consider registered apprenticeship program has pretty much kind of stopped. And so I can tell you guys personally, and I don't know how Lee feels about this, but I'm getting a lot of IRAP vibes again, coming down the pike. So there are still a lot, if your states are pretty active in grant funding and supporting and expanding registered apprenticeship programs, there is money still out there. I just worked with Jason Rafter in California. They just submitted I can't remember how many hundreds of thousands of dollars it was, but a big grant around apprenticeship and stuff. So there still are those opportunities. We're seeing a lot of them basically just kind of at the state level, not much at the federal level. As far as the green energy stuff, I just wanted to thank all you guys that moved forward with the mass timber training and implemented that into your programs. We've got over 30 locals across the country now that have mass timber implemented into their training centers. We worked with Impact at the Mass Timber Convention in Portland, Oregon. Impact stepped up to the plate and had this big, massive mock-up built, and it was really cool. And we went down to the Mass Timber mock-up, and we just totally smoked the carpenters, man. You should have seen them. They were just like walking around looking at our mock-up and how just extravagant it was. And they got this little dog shed over there. It was pretty funny to kind of to see them like gawking at what the ironworkers brought to the table. So we attended that, and it was great. Impact did a really good job there, and we were there to represent the ironworkers. And I think this fall the Mass Timber Convention is going to be in Boston. So if you're interested in that, it'll be there next year, and then basically spring West Coast, fall East Coast. So. And then for those of you that have the mock-up, I'm working with Faust Fabrication. We've got, if you're interested in kind of upgrading or expanding your mock-ups, I know that some of you just bought the small mock-up, 15 grand. You didn't want to spend a bunch of money. You didn't know if the industry was going to buy it or not. You got the training in there, but now you're saying, hey, James, man, we'd like to have some steel component to this thing and kind of expand our mock-up. And we've got basically a new addition to the mock-up coming out pretty soon. So I'll be shooting that out to you guys. So if you wanted to kind of expand your mock-up to be more of a hybrid that has some, structural steel components embedded in it, and new drawings and stuff, we'll be having that stuff for you guys pretty soon. And let me see. Brian Tannehill couldn't be here. I know he's working on renewing and kind of refreshing the certified rigger program. We're getting ready to get that thing recertified. All I can say is we'd love to see you guys kind of get some of your members into that space and get that credential. If you haven't got the mock-up and the kit and gone through the proctor training, let's get you guys hooked up. Reach out to us. We can get your programs going. And Samson couldn't be here either. He's working a lot with the global wind organization for the offshore wind. We saw a little bit kind of a pause, a hiccup on the East Coast in that, but talking with Kendall Martin and some of those other guys, it seems like the work's still going to be going. They're still wanting guys to get trained, and I just talked to Michael Sampson today. And Local 40 and 361 are getting accredited. They're actually prepared for the audit process. So we're still moving forward with that. West Coast, it looks like probably not for, 6 to 8 years or so before it really kind of starts to move around over there at Seaman now. So if you're interested in any of that offshore wind stuff, reach out to us and we can help you in that process. And I think that's all I got. Quarter, you want to go? Okay. All right. I'll turn it over to Quarter.
All right. How's everybody doing today? I want to appreciate everybody for really trying to get that WPQ one out. If you guys have one CWI at your local, try to really get another CWI because we never know what's going to happen with everybody. Things can change on a dime, and we're having quite a few locals that are losing a CWI, and we're having to have portability from one CWI to their closest local to another one. So just try to make sure that your local has more than one CWI. So as of 2025, we have some new code books that are out. We got the D1.1, the D1.5, the D1.8, and the B5.1. Those are out as 2025 versions. Now, I will tell you that most of those AWS does not have in stock. I've ordered extra ones for here and for Michigan for the D18 class, and they're telling me they're not going to be able to have them in stock until beginning of June. So if you guys have an audit coming up and you need to do it, I would purchase one, send the invoice in, and make sure you put that in your files that you've ordered it. Once a paper version gets in, you'll get the paper version. If you want a digital copy, you can buy the digital copy and download it. You only get 2 downloads with that. So make sure that your computer isn't going to die, and make sure that your printer's got enough paper to print all of those things. Because after that, you cannot download them anymore.
Hey, Jason,
Yes.
they're not letting you even purchase them. So I sent that in and they said, we don't have any in stock. Please resubmit when there's stock available.
Okay.
So they won't even process it.
Great. Well, when I submitted mine, they just said, "Oh, we won't have them," and then they never told me that they weren't gonna submit that. So good to know. I will call them and try to find out a little bit more, and I'll get back. I'll send an email out to everybody. A couple things that are coming on is I'm hoping we're gonna have the new routing sheets by Michigan, so we can do those and have those out there and do a little bit of training on those. Those are going to be digital, all within the Spud Wrench site. So everybody will log in and just start a new welding test, put in Jason Quarter and my book number, adding new test, and it's going to pre-populate a lot of stuff, my dues, my picture, and stuff like that. And it's just going to be segregated, and you just go through each one and click yes, no, put your initials. And if I don't complete the test, you're going to be able to put that in the back burner. It's going to save that information so when you come back. Well, we're also working with IT department to work on digital welding continuity for the membership. We went to the digital cards. We have that. That seems to be working well. There are some hiccups between stuff. The members are out there seeming to be okay with it. In certain areas. There's still a little bit of problems we're working through, but my new thing is working through a digital continuity where the member will get a text message or something to log in, and they'll be able to upload their continuity in there. I want to make sure that we changed something on the WCP is that the member or you guys as coordinators cannot update somebody's continuity more than 3 months ahead of time, 90 days. So we've had people in the past try to upload somebody's continuity almost a year prior. Like they just get their card, their new cert, and then they're trying to submit a continuity to get a new card a year in advance. So we went ahead and made some changes on that. So that's what I have right now. Does anybody have any other kind of questions for me?
I have a question. Out of curiosity, do we have to have the paper books or can we just have electronic D11s, D15s on file?
You can have either one.
Thank you, Chris. That was going to be my question.
If you have the electrical one, I would suggest trying to pull out the acceptance criteria. I haven't seen the 2025 yet. If the acceptance criteria for bend specimens has changed, make sure that you have that out there for your test supervisor to look that over as he's accepting or rejecting test plates. Any other questions? Concerns, cries?
I do have one question. How do you get reimbursed for the Hobart CWI prep course?
You submit some stuff to me. I'll send you some of that stuff today, Matt.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like that also.
Who is that?
Rick Green, local 207.
James, as part of the notes for this, why don't you put down prep course CWI reimbursement, how to do that, okay?
I will do that. And
I'll let you go.
the cool thing is, Lee, I don't even have to do that because I got AI on right now, and it's going to tell me to do that later.
Perfect.
Anything else for quarter? Okay,
See
sweet.
you guys in Michigan.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I'm going to throw something into chat here. I know Quarter talked about the audits a little bit, and I just want to remind everybody that if you haven't gone to the 3-year cycle yet, you probably will be soon. The next time that's one of us come out and audits your program, we're going to be doing the IACP and the WCP audit at the same time. Once you have that done and both of those expiration dates are aligned, I just want to remind everybody that you will be required to do the self audits for the IACP and the WCP program annually. And one of the tools that we've been using with some of the coordinators, I think I've got most my West Coast guys using it. I know Brian Tannehill's piloting it with a bunch of his guys. Check out that iAuditor, the Safety Culture app. It's an app that you can download on your phone. You can have it on your PC. We've already got the audit templates built, so we can literally just email them to you. You upload them into your app, and you can literally walk around your training center and complete your your audits on your phone. And then once you have that self audit done for both your IACP and your WCP, then every year when it comes time to do your audit again, all you got to do is open that thing up, change the dates, make sure that, some of the documents don't need to be updated, bada bing, bada bang, make sure the pictures are still good. And then you just print off the PDF and send it up to headquarters. You don't have to reinvent your audit each year. So, and the other thing it allows us to do is kind of work together prior to coming out and auditing your program. So I can send you your audit notice. I can send you the template. We can both open it up in our iAuditor applications, whether it's on PC or desktop or a tablet. You can do it simultaneously. You can add me to your team. As you start to upload documents, I can be reviewing that stuff. So by the time I come out and actually do my hands-on assessment at your facility, we've got all the documentation reviewed and approved, and I'm just going to come out and just verify a few things, double check that everything's looking good, and it really shortens up that process and takes a lot of that stress off you guys. The name of the app, if you go to that website there, it's just Safety Culture. So if you go into your App Store. You can type in safety culture. It's basically called the iAuditor. And if you, like I said, if you guys want me to walk you through it, just give me a call. We can jump on a phone. I can give you a rundown. But eventually, when your NTF rep reaches out to you to do the audit, they're probably going to say, "Hey, you want to use the iAuditor?" And you can say, "You know what? I already got it rocking and rolling. So yeah, let's do it." So, um, let's see. I think that's all I got. We're looking at 10 till. Let's turn it over to Bart. Get a little LMS update and what he's got going on, and we'll close it out and get out of here.
Thanks, James. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff cooking with the LMS. Of course, we're getting ready for the training coming up in July in Ann Arbor, which we're excited about. We've got a next generation user interface that's going to be released soon. I'll send emails out to all of the coordinators and offer up Zoom training ahead of time. We plan on releasing this just before the July training, so most classes are kind of out by then. Basically, it doesn't really change any processes. It just changes the way that administrators access things. But it's not just, it looks a lot cooler, but the biggest advantage of it is for the end user. I know now when we look at our enrollments, when a student looks at their enrollments, the window is kind of truncated. You can't see the full height of the window of your browser. The new one is going to allow us to use the full height of the browser window to view our enrollments. Plus, it has a search feature built in, so users can search for the particular enrollment. And when it comes to the third year or fourth year of somebody in your program, it can get a little bit cumbersome, that list, and this greatly improves that part of the LMS, which we're excited about. We're also, I'm currently in the process of repackaging existing content on the LMS. So right now, we've got assignment sheets that are packaged in courses, and the tests are each module is represented as a separate course. Right now, I'm working with Jason Worley, and we're coming up with separate courses for each assignment sheet. And this is going to give locals even more flexibility of how they present their courses to their students, and also allows us to set up these prerequisites. So when I'm finished with the first module in AO1, the student is automatically provided with an enrollment for that test. Another thing we're doing is we're combining the individual test modules into package ones like the current assignment sheets. And this is to address locals who use the clickers for their final exams and don't really use our LMS tests. So might as well package them all up in one thing. It's going to be easier for you to manage. And also for our Canadian locals who use the Red Seal for their final tests. So this is just going to give you more options on how to deliver your content. So we're excited about that, and we'll send more information about that after our July session. So also we're meeting in June, the team, to kind of discuss priorities. And one of the things that we're pushing is more budget going towards translations. And there's some interesting developments on that front technology wise. It's going to help us develop that kind of stuff, that kind of information cheaper and quicker. So we'll be talking about that and hope to have a lot more translation stuff for us. I know it's a big priority for a lot of locals. That's pretty much what we're working on right now. If anybody has any questions, we hope to see a lot of you folks out there at the apprentice training in Ann Arbor.
Very good. Thanks, Bart. Any questions for Bart or anything that we talked about today? If you guys, if you don't want to talk here or whatever, you can give me a call or reach out to me by email if you're interested in any of the stuff that we discussed. And with that, I'll turn it over to Lee to close us out, see if he's got anything else.
James, just thinking about that iAuditor, if you want to do a quick half-hour webinar on the, what it does for you, how can it improve your reporting, I would recommend that. I think
Okay.
there are people interested in that.
Very good.
Other than that, no, I wish everybody, can you believe Memorial Day's coming in a couple of weeks? Good gosh. May is halfway through. We're going to be in Ann Arbor before you know it. Everybody be safe. These webinars are great, and we'll try to be a little bit more prompt on it. Even though we had a busy year this year, we'll try to get one right after July, if not before. Just everybody be safe, and see you next time. Thanks, James.
Thanks, Lee. I had myself muted. If you guys are interested, I'll put together a little webinar and we can go over the iAuditor. So I'll send that out on the listserv and I'll put together a little rundown. We can get on and discuss the pros and cons. So I'll put one of those together in the next few weeks and see if we can't get something out there for you guys. So okay, with that, anybody got anything? All right, I'm going to give you 5 minutes back. All right, everybody have a good day. Thanks for showing up.
All right,
Have a
thank
good
you.
one.